order the Pleasant Grove City Council meeting this evening on December the 3rd, 2019, and welcome all who have joined us this evening. We usually don't have this large of a crowd, so you're welcome to see you. We'll like to start this evening. And I recognize that we have one missing council person here. Sid Lamone will not be with us this evening, but the other four are here and appreciate you, and also our staff that's here with us. We'll start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Anderson, after which we'll have opening remarks from Carl Nelson.
Please rise. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll probably have any bow our heads for this time to give you thanks for this opportunity we have to meet in council meeting, and we ask you to please bless each of the council members and the people in this meeting will be able to make some good decisions for the future of Pleasant Grove, and bless those that are here that they can speak the concerns they have and can do it in a pleasing manner. And bless us now as we all go back to our homes, we can get there in safety. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Diana and Carl. We'll now ask for a motion to approve of tonight's meeting agenda.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
We have a motion. Do I have a second? We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move on to our open session and invite any one who would like to come forward and share with the council anything they would like to bring before us. I would remind you, though, we have 3 public hearings this evening, and if you're here for one of the public hearings, we would ask that you have your comments during that open session on the public hearing. So I invite anybody to come forward now. Okay, with that, we will now close our open session and move on to our item number 6, which is our consent items this evening, which are our previous council minutes and our payment request for several of our projects we've done this past year. So I ask for a motion for our consent items.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent items.
We have a motion by Councilmember Williams. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Anderson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move on to our presentations this evening. And we'd have our presentation to our Citizens Academy graduates here this evening. And so we'll turn the time over to our chief.
Mayor and Council, we're pleased tonight to have the graduates of our Fall Citizens Academy with us. We have some awards to give with them tonight and just tell them thanks for the participation. And I think most of you have probably been through it. It's a 9-week course, and it's just a way to build transparency between the police department and the citizens. It's a good way for them to come out and see what an officer does on a day-to-day basis. We do traffic stops, crime scenes, court mocks, firearms, stuff like that, and I think it's been very successful. We've got nothing but good reviews from it from the get-go. So the program was started by Sergeant Sean Nelson years back, and then Captain Britt Smith and Sergeant Carl Nelson have kind of kept it going, and they facilitate it, and they do a wonderful job. So I want to first thank those guys for the great job they do, and it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of scheduling and a lot of time after hours to make sure they facilitate it correctly. So thanks, guys, for doing that. I'll let Britt did all the hard work, so I'll turn it over to him and let him take the accolades.
So, for starters, I just want to thank the chief. One of his first things that he wanted to do and make sure that we did when we got into the new building is have a Citizens Academy, because they are so important, especially in today's day and age with, you know, just reaching out to community outreach programs and just having some understanding with the community of what it is that we do. So often, you know, you hear something on the news about the police and it's negative and they did something that nobody likes and everybody jumps to a conclusion and they don't know the other side. And this is an opportunity for people to take a look at the other side and maybe factor in some of their own personal experiences before they jump to a conclusion or a decision as to what happened. So anyway, and then Sergeant Nelson, I can't say enough about this guy. Probably the busiest guy in our department, just running, doing everything. And talk about community outreach. He exemplifies that every day, day in and day out. And he comes and he does this thing, these Citizens Academy, and, you know, every time I look at his time card, I don't see any time there for it. He just donates it, and I can't make him turn in overtime for it, so. So he is, he's a shining star, so can't say enough about him. And our cadets this year, stellar group, phenomenal people. We're so happy to be able to get to know them and meet them and super involved, super engaged. You know, it's one of those things that they look forward to every week, and to have Councilman Williams there, that was awesome, that he was able to take his busy time out of his schedule and spend that time with us, and so we appreciate his presence there, and it really
was a
meant a lot
pleasure.
to us. It meant a
was a
lot
pleasure.
to have a councilman attend our academy, so we appreciate that. So what we're going to do is we've got some certificates for him of completion, and then we're going to just call them up here by name and hand them their certificate. We're going to shake their hand, and then we're going to have them line up here, and then afterwards, we'd like to get a big picture with our graduating class and our city council, and of course, it's going to end up on Facebook, so just heads up.
Hey, Brett, I just want to say, I think the class of 2016 was probably the best.
Think so?
Yeah.
Well, we do have some alumni on the council, so.
So Diana, have you done this?
No, I haven't yet.
Has Sid done it?
Yes.
She's come to a few here and there,
Yeah,
so.
we'll call her honorary.
No,
You gotta graduate. There's no honorary.
No.
I'm a graduate, so I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, so Carl, if you'd like to read off their names, so we can shake their hands.
Hopefully I'll just water everybody's names. All right, no certain order, Doug Skinner. Amber Gordon. Hopefully I have everybody.
Clearly top of the class. Oh, cool.
Dylan Giles. Or Gillis. Giles.
He's not here.
All right. Terry Wallen. John Henshaw. Slaughter that. Greg Rollins.
Craig's one of our honorary colonels.
I just do this, thank you.
Jim Adams.
Another one of our honorary colonels.
What I can do to help.
Kevin.
Dang it.
Kevin Grimes. And Rita. You were here at the beginning. You can do it again next year if you want to.
Yeah.
Got a little
Sort of had a
distracted.
baby after the first class, and- They're the managers of All Reds, so we love our
Eric,
local
Ray.
businesses coming. Eric?
Okay, Okay, Roman Smith. Not it.
He's my not dead, so I can say
I did good. Oh. All right, Andrew Davis.
We're slaughtering a lot of names for saying he wasn't going to.
Nathan Greiman. James Pruitt. Adam, come on up. And then Todd Williams.
Woo-hoo!
Hi there, you take a picture.
should we just kind of?
Hey, can we clap?
Well done.
I'm either gonna get on back row, 'cause I'm short of it.
You're good. Oh, we gotta wait, we gotta wait.
Oh, I can see everyone.
Am I blocking them out?
No, you're not.
Okay,
You're just right.
1, 2, 3. Good measure up to the next one. Cool.
Okay. Oh, good job, you guys.
Good job.
And then if there's, we've historically and traditionally let a couple of the graduates just come up for 1 or 2 minutes and just kind of give an overview. I don't want to take too much time, but maybe just, 1 or 2 of you come up and just give their thoughts.
My name is Don Henscheid. We're a military family, actually having lost a son while serving from Pleasant Grove here. And we're just looking for a way to get back involved with the community. And law enforcement's important to me, military and law enforcement. And so I came for a couple reasons. One, to see, as we've traveled around, we've become aware that, there's this us against them mentality in the police forces. And I wanted to see where we were as a community, and have to report that these guys, the word stellar was used, absolutely stellar group of officers that we've experienced, and that's a reflection on our whole community and you as leadership, and really appreciate that. The other thing that was important to me was find out if they had the tools they needed to do the jobs that we're requiring them to do, and if they're properly funded for those things. We found out with our boys that if they wanted, better or advanced equipment, they either had to pay for it themselves in the military, or we did as families. We'd send it to them, and that can't be, especially in our community here. And so I'd like to encourage you to look carefully at what they're doing for us, what we're asking them to do, and fund them, to the levels they need to. And then if we can help as a community make sure that happen, that can happen. We want to. Thank you for supporting this, and it's a great program. Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
You.
My name's Nathan Kryman. I'd just like to say thank you. I'd like to thank Councilman Williams and Officer Ruiz for inviting me to come, along with my son, Kevin. I didn't know about this until they encouraged me to come. I'm grateful for the council, and I understand that many of you have participated. I'm grateful for Chief Roberts for supporting both Captain Smith and Nielsen. And I just want to let you know, the guys, the men and women who serve this city, they are something else. Thanks for supporting them, and go go
PG.
Thanks, David.
Members of the City Council, my name is Terry Wallen, and we're recent transplants to this beautiful city of Pleasant Grove from Seattle, Washington. We moved here in April. And I just wanted to congratulate the chief, also Captain and Sergeant Nielsen for this wonderful work that they have done, for the extra effort, and all of the men and women of the Pleasant Grove Police Department. They really are a great group of people. And we also enjoyed meeting Officer Django from the K-9 unit. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for that. We also wanted to say that since the City Council is here tonight, it would be timely to suggest that these hardworking men and women get a raise. If you can find that extra money in your budget, us citizens would really appreciate that, because they deserve that. They're such a good example of hardworking men and women that are out there. They've done all of this additional work, this planning and working for us, and it's truly appreciated. We learned so many things throughout this course, and one of the things that stood out in my mind, one of the many, was the time that we got to go to the virtual training center in Provo, Utah. And there I learned the difference between knowing the law and being able to apply the law. And in that virtual training, I learned that the officers here have to make split-second decisions that affect people's lives, not only the person involved, but also the officer as well. And this just takes great dedication, it takes great experience, it takes great training. And we just really appreciate the hard work of these men and women. So thank you for putting on this course. Thank you for letting us attend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The microphone's probably better without me, so. I might be a little bit biased, but yes, our police department is top-notch. They really are. And that's not coming from a colonel. That's coming from somebody that's had to call 911 on 2 different occasions. Once for an emergency service for my son that went unconscious after a trampoline fall. And most recent, during the middle of the academy, and I didn't know if it was a setup or not, but I had a gentleman come to my door, and when I opened it, he tried to force his way in. Come to find out, he was just had some dementia or something like that and wandered away from a care facility in another city. But when the officers showed up, they showed up in a very caring manner. There wasn't any type of aggression with them. They were very professional. They handled it. They actually found who the gentleman was, even though he didn't know who he was, and got him back to where he needed to be, all in a matter of about 10 minutes.
Wow.
Now, our officers, their kids go to the same schools. Their kids are friends with our kids. So they have a vested interest in our city, and we need to have a vested interest in them. I know that our city is having some trouble, and we're hopefully getting to where we want to be. We know that there's a lot more to go. But yes, I mean, outside of raises, outside of equipment, we definitely need to make sure that this type of stuff happens for them, because what they deal with, not only out in the field, but when they deal with it on a personal level, they go to the grocery store, most likely they're going to be seen by somebody they've given a ticket to, or they've been involved in a domestic violence issue that they had to get involved with. It's not comfortable for them. It's very uncomfortable for them. And I'm sure you guys have experienced that to a certain degree as well. Being in politics, you have people that don't necessarily like you guys, and you probably feel the same thing. So I think we need to remember that as a community and really try to get involved, not only with supplying what they need, but let's be their back. Let's have their six. Let's make sure that we're where we need to be as a community. And I ask for you guys to help guide us with that in any fashion that could be. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
And then Mayor, can I,
Yeah.
oh, we got one more. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
I'll finish it up.
He's never yielded the floor. No, sorry.
No, you've never been.
So my name is Andrew Davis. So I'm about a 10-year resident of Pleasant Grove now. And so early on, the gentleman mentioned that this was a program to help reinforce transparency of the operations of the police department to the citizens of Pleasant Grove. And after going through and attending this course, I can think of absolutely no better way for a citizen to actually come to understanding the difficulties that our law enforcement department deals with on a daily basis and what they go through than to go through this course. I actually think this course should actually be further publicized and in an effort to make it available to more members of the community so that I think it would actually buy a large amount of goodwill from the community towards our law enforcement department and ease the interactions between the community and the people that keep us safe. So I would hope that you guys further reinforce this program and actually try to make it a point to make it known to more members of the community that it is available, so they have the opportunity to understand and actually see it from their point of view.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, Mayor, I spent the last nine weeks with these individuals, and we're in good hands with our police force. I have learned to love and appreciate all that they do. I know that we saw just a sliver, but there were a lot of nights that my heart was pounding and beating and scared, not only from the traffic stops, but in the virtual simulation. And this is something that they live every day. And you know, I agree. We do need to give them a raise. Because our lives often depend, and when we put our lives in their hands, but more importantly, they put their life on the line every single day for us, and that can't be stated enough. So Chief, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Captain Smith, thank you. Sergeant Nelson, all of you, Chris Ruiz, and the rest of the officers that we met throughout the course of the 9 weeks, all of them were exceptional. We're in great hands. So thank you.
So Chief and Carl, and thank you and Brett for all you do. And I want to tell these people out here, hey, share your knowledge with everyone around you in your neighborhood, your family, and encourage them to, and find out when we're going to have the next one, and encourage them to, more people to sign up. And so, you know, I'll tell you, many years ago when I was a firefighter and EMT for the city, we always knew the PD had our backs. And so they were there to support us and make sure we stayed out of trouble. And so I really appreciate them. And it was amazing to see in the time I spent there as a volunteer that what they do every day. And it was just amazing to me. And I'm grateful for every one of you. So thank you. We need to do more for you. So, anybody at the council have anything else to add?
Amen.
That's great. So, okay. Thank you. Carl?
I'm just going to tell everybody, thanks for participating. Thanks to the council. And just go out that back door and we'll go eat back there, those that are
What?
here.
It better include meat. I think it does. There you go.
I couldn't put one more piece of meat in me. My life depended on. Oh, thank you guys for doing all that.
We'll now move on to our meeting, to our public hearings. We have 3 of them this evening. So our first one is 9A, a public hearing to take comments on the issuance of water revenue bonds series 2020 to finance all or a portion of the cost of construction of improvements to our secondary water system. And we'll turn the time over to our director.
Mayor, Council, good to be with you. Just thought at the beginning of this public hearing would take a minute to explain what the scope of this bond is for, what the intention of the funding is for that we're applying for, maybe a little bit of the background as to why we're doing this and why we think this is important. This last year came with a number of complications in our secondary water system, mainly because of all of the water that we had up on the mountain this past winter. And the way that it came down, we had a lot of sediment and rock that was coming down through the entire season of, really it kind of peaked in Battle Creek. In Grove Creek, it was early on that it was peaking. We had some issues there, keeping filters flowing and water coming into the system. And then in around July, we started having some serious problems with Battle Creek and keeping that water coming in to one of our zones that's only fed by that source. And so we knew there was some issues that we were trying to address, mainly doing with our filters. And then over the past number of years, depending on the type of year, we've had issues with moss growth and other things that come out of the Provo River out of 3 of our aqueducts. And so as we're looking at this, we had in our 5-year plan, we did have plans to put in filters on 3 of our main turnouts that come out of it's called the Alpine Aqueduct. It's provided or managed by Central Utah Water Conservancy District. And that's where a majority of our water comes from for our secondary water system. And we wanted to try to address a problem there, and we were looking at doing that over multiple years. With the other issues that we had with Grove Creek and Battle Creek, we wanted to increase and try to just, the direction we got is let's get the problem fixed, let's do it right, and what are we gonna need to do it? Do we wanna extend it over 5 years, a little bit at a time, or do we wanna just go in, see if we can find some funding and do it all at once? And so that's what we did. In very short order, we went to the Division of Water Resources and applied for some funding to be able to do this project. Really quick, the scope of the project is there's 3 turnouts that we currently have of the Alpine Aqueduct. One is out here at about 3,300 north. The other one is approximately at about 1,100 north here next to the trail. And then one is about 100 north, 200 north along the trail. Those are our 3 main turnouts that we get our water from the Provo River. And we have a number of water rights that come through that source. We also have the issues that we experienced up at Grove Creek and Battle Creek were at the diversion structures primarily, which was here, and then another one at a diversion structure that's up Battle Creek in approximately that location. And so we really have, those are the kind of the main 5 big areas that we're trying to accomplish with this bond, is to take care of those issues, because if we can get rid of the sediment, we can get rid of the moss, we feel like we can provide a much higher level of service to our residents so that they're not hopefully cleaning their filters as much. It's not that it's going to be perfect, it's still surface water, it's still going to have sediments, we're not going to get everything out, but it should greatly decrease what they're needing to do to clean their filters and keep them operational and functional. And then we do have some metering needs right here at our Battle Creek station here at the turnout that we're also doing with this so that this works and functions properly. So we got a meter here and another meter coming down the canyon, and then there's one more meter on Grove Creek. So that's the scope of what we're trying to accomplish with this funding.
And Marty, what's the purpose of the metering?
We have to report how much water we're using to the state every year. And we've got 2 meters that have failed. So we've been estimating what that is this last year, and we just needed to get those meters replaced, so we put it in this budget.
Okay.
So that's primarily the purpose of that.
Great, thank you.
Just a real quick question and very high level. What is this filtering system like? What is it actually, how does it work?
So it's ran, so in the turnout vaults, these are very large vaults inside there. With the piping that comes to Pleasant Grove City, we will be putting on a T that essentially runs the water up through a filtering system and then back into our system. So the water coming in will be filtered. When that receives, it has a differential pressure across the screen, essentially that says when the screen's full, it kicks to waste. and it'll automatically flush, run a brush up and down the screen, and kick it to a waste source.
Wow.
And then it automatically cleans, and they run all that and monitor it by telemetry. And that's one of the later items today is the agreement with Central Utah Water Conservancy District to actually manage those. It actually becomes their facility, but we pay for the maintenance and upkeep of the facility because we're being provided the water. But that's the purpose of it, is to filter all the water that comes out of that turnout.
Okay.
So any other questions about the scope and what the purpose of the funding's for? It's to try to get it all in one bite and just get it done, so we're not lengthening this out over multiple years.
Any other questions for Marty?
I think
If
Denise,
not, we will,
Denise is going to talk about the money.
Denise
part.
is going to talk about the money part of it here.
I'll take this fun stuff.
I'm just going to talk a little bit about the residents. It's a requirement for state funding. And so we did send out a mailer to all of our utility users. And in that, it talked about that our payments shall be made from the net revenues of the water system. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. There's no plan to raise rates at this time to cover the bond payment. Our bond payment will be anywhere from $77,000 to $85,000 over the next 25 years. We actually received a 1% rate from the Division of Natural Resources, which is unbelievable. In the market, I don't even know if we could have gotten anything less than 3. And so that's really, we're really fortunate that they've seen a need to, for us to be able to get that funding at a lower rate so that we can get this taken care of. They look at the projects and they evaluate all the dollars that they have. And so just letting the residents know, won't mean that we won't have to raise rates, so, down the road, because we have other needs. Costs go up and we have a lot more projects, but for this particular project, we don't see the need to raise that, and we'll be able to fund that, the principal and bond out of the secondary water fund.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes. Can you just briefly discuss why the range, right? The 1.8 to 2.2?
When we were visiting with the group there, there's just a little concern because we have not got the bids back, and there's just so much talk about the construction costs. Right now, I don't know if everyone's seen like the school board thing in the newspaper the other day, just the construction costs with so much going on, that they were just concerned. If we went to 1.8 to 2.2, and that just helps us so we could still move forward and we wouldn't need to go to the public, do the public hearing, send out a new notice, and those type of things. The board process is the same, but for us, it would just, if the bids came back in, then we would need to go through all the process. So the parameter resolution gives us, just if we needed to borrow the 2.2, that we could, up to 2.2. And then we still have our match of 700,000.
That we've already had set apart, that we've been, that's
Set
been in
aside
that
to do
fund,
that.
set aside.
Yeah, we already have the 700,000. Yeah, in this year's budget.
And when we get the bids back, that will be a meeting that we approve and award the job, and that will be public.
Yes.
Yes.
So that should be around the middle of January that we get the bids back, is what we're looking at right now. So January 21st looks like when we would try to award the project. It's a very tight construction window, right? We're trying to get it constructed before we start providing service on May 1st in the system. So we've got a really tight construction window. So we're moving as fast as we can to get that out to bid, get bids back, get it awarded, finish the bond, and then we'll start construction in February.
Okay.
The board will actually meet on January 23rd, and then if the council moved it forward and the board moved it forward, we'd probably close sometime the next week.
Okay.
out of that.
And it's been engineered.
So engineering plans will be available in about 2 weeks. We're
Okay.
probably about 75% done right now, just finalizing some of the details that we need to work out, so.
Okay.
Any other questions for Denise?
No, this time.
Thank you. If council doesn't have any other questions, we'll open our public hearing. So I'd invite now anybody who'd like to come forward and address the council on this, on our filtering system. And please state your name.
My name is Ethan Larson. I just have one question for Marty. What type of filter system is this? Is it a screen type filter? Is it a disc type filter? And what is the micron rating that it will be rated for?
So the 3 screens that we're installing is a screen type. It's not a disc, and it goes to 500 microns is what it'll be screening to.
My name's David Howard. I've been here about 30 years in Pleasant Grove, and I wasn't a big fan of this secondary water in the first place. It sounds like if you got $700,000 sitting in a bank account somewhere, and you got enough to pay $77,000 a year without raising the rates, you must have a pretty big pocket there with lots of money in it from overcharging us. The rates keep going up. When it came in, they promised it'd be $15 a month and never go up. And that was why we voted it in, because of the promises from the city council was in place at that time. But if you got this much money sitting there, there's probably a lot more. I don't know how you tell or have access to that, but I think we're being way overcharged if you stash that much money away. Okay, thank you. Anyone else who'd like to come forward? If not, we'll now close our public hearing on our water revenue bonds and move on now to our item 9B. And our next public hearing is to consider for adoption ordinance 2019-24 to amend City Code Section 10-21-4, conditions for the establishment of home businesses by changing the conditions and requirements for use involving sales and retail products from a residence, including online sales, and providing for an effective date. And we'll turn the time over to our general counsel.
Mayor and council, I'm substituting for Director Cardenas this evening as he's ill. But the proposed text amendment deals with home occupations. 1021-4 sets forth the conditions under which any home occupation must operate. And the goal is to allow people to establish home occupations, but not negatively impact the residential quality and character of the residential neighborhoods. So this particular change, and I might note that it has been recommended for approval from the Planning Commission, was that we would permit specifically online sales, internet and mail order based sales home occupations in our code. Currently, we don't address them, and they are impliedly not permitted because we don't specifically regulate them. So we're adding a use and permitting this specific use with 2 conditions. One is that it cannot generate more than 2 vehicular round trips related to the home occupation business activities during any single hour, including deliveries and shipping. The other is that there be no in-person monetary transaction and or exchange of merchandise in the home, on the premises, or in any portion of a residential zone. So the purpose of that is to encourage and allow home occupations, but to also put some restrictions on it so that it's not unduly impacting the residential character of the neighborhood. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Just that last sentence. Say the ordinance one more time.
So I can have to scroll back up there.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
It was the two round trips.
So the home occupation shall not generate more than 2 vehicular round trips related to the home occupation business activities during any single hour, including deliveries and shipping. internet and mail order-based sales home occupations are allowed as a home office only. The in-person monetary transaction and/or exchange of a merchandise is not allowed in the home, on the premises, or any portion of a residential zone.
Okay, explain that one to me.
So that just means that if you are doing internet sales, you can't have people come to your home to pick up the product any more than 2 times an hour.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Tina? If not, thank you, Tina. And I'll now ask anybody who would open the public hearing and have anybody to come up forward and like to address the council on this item. If not, we'll now close our public hearing and bring it back up to the council. And if there's no any other questions from the council, we'll move on to item 9C, a public hearing to consider for adoption an ordinance 2019-25, no, excuse me.
So we have to vote
We have to vote first here, and I got it right
on
here.
that one.
I'm just trying to get through too quick here tonight, so,
Mayor, I'll make a motion.
okay,
Is that all right?
you bet,
Okay.
go ahead.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2019-24 to amend City Code, Section 10, -21-4, conditions for the establishment of a home-based home business by changing the conditions and requirements for uses involving sales or retail of products from a residence, including online sales, and providing for an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilmember Williams. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Councilmember Walker. This will be a roll call vote with Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Walker,
Yes.
and Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. We'll now move on to our next item, 9C, public hearing to consider for adoption 2019-25 to amend City Code Section 10, 11E-1-1, DV Downtown Village Zone, table of permitted conditional and accessory uses to allow for processing, manufacturing, delivery of bakery products as permitted in the Downtown Village Zone Commercial Subdistrict and providing for an effective date. Now, back time to our general counsel.
Mayor and council, this ordinance is proposing to add bakery products, the manufacturing of bakery products, including pastries, crackers, cones, and pies, but not meat, in the Downtown Village Commercial Zone. The specific property that is the applicant is requesting this be applied to lies in the Downtown Village Zone. In years past, that area had been a manufacturing district. There had been some legal non-conforming uses established in that zone that centered around manufacturing. Over the last few years, at various times, it was recommended and approved by the Planning Commission and the City Council to change the zone of that area. And I'll just read you from the staff report the background. Pleasant Grove City considers the land use designation of the downtown village as the area of the city in which the primary function of the land is to create a livable and walkable downtown. The downtown village zone is to foster a revitalization of its commercial retail base while preserving the downtown's historical image, increasing the livability, and protecting the existing residents' quality of life. So the purpose of the downtown village zone, as read there, it is felt that manufacturing, most general types of manufacturing, would be incompatible with that purpose and use. However, in investigating the use proposed, which is the manufacture of pastries and the like, it was felt that that is not intense enough of a use to cause the detrimental effects that we would normally be worried about with a manufacturing use in that zone. And so it was recommended by staff and the Planning Commission to add that particular use, 2150 bakery products, as a conditional use in the zone, which would still allow the Planning Commission to review site plans and use proposals and mitigate any potential negative effects on the surrounding properties. Any questions? And I don't know if the applicant's here. The applicant is here if you'd like to
Would
ask
you
him
like
any
to
questions.
make any,
Thank you. We would be happy to make Pleasant Grove our home from Orem. My roots go back to the early 1900s here. I was told by my mother I should always call it PG and that. But we're Granny B's Cookies and are excited to be part of Pleasant Grove. If you pass a conditional use, we'll be making only cookies in our plant. Not pastries, pies, and other things like that, but cookies that have been made in Orem since 1984. And
Where is this going to be?
it's the old Costume Craze building off of Center Street.
That's right.
I want you to know I probably kept you in business. I love your cookies.
Well, I didn't bring any brisket, but I do have some cookies that I will leave here in case anybody wants to taste one of our pink
Well, there is
frosted
nothing more exciting than us to hear we're moving from Orem to Pleasant Grove. So
Well, I
thank
want to
for-
tell you, my
thank
last
you for coming here.
My last business in Pleasant Grove, we inherited it as a family, our apple orchard here in the mid-'80s while I was going to school at BYU. And I'm sad to say that after 4 years, we decided we were not farmers. We were city slickers, and we shut the farm down. But we're happy to be back. But any questions I can answer for you?
No, I can smell cookies already.
so, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No other questions from the council. We will now open our public hearing and ask anyone who'd like to come forward and address the council on this hearing. If not, we will now close our public hearing, bring it back up to the council, and for any further questions or a motion.
Mayor, I would love to make a motion as read by, as handed to me. I would like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2019-25, an ordinance of Pleasant Grove City, Utah County, Utah, amending section 10-11E-1-1. Is this what I'm reading?
Yep.
Table of permitted, conditional, and accessory uses, adding use 2150, manufacturing of bakery products, as a conditional use in the downtown village zone, commercial sub-district, including an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Anderson, a second by Councilmember Jensen. And this will be a roll call vote, and we'll start out with Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Councilmember Walker.
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Thank you. It passes unanimously, and we now move on to our item number 10A, our action items ready for vote this evening. And our first 10A is to consider for approval a one-lot final subdivision plat called Grove Subdivision Plat B on property located at probably 756 South Pleasant Grove Boulevard in the Grove Zone, Commercial Sales District. And we will turn it to our Public Works Director, Marty.
All right. This subdivision plat is a vacation of an existing subdivision plat called the Grove Subdivision Plat A. It's right near the interchange at the intersection of Pleasant Grove Boulevard and North County Boulevard. The current lot, if you remember a number of months ago, we vacated a portion of Sam White Lane that existed here, and we vacated half of it to this property and half of it to the property to the north. We made it a requirement that we have not yet dedicated that ground to them because we want them to join that to their adjacent parcels. We don't want it to become a nuisance strip, something that they'd lose track of, it becomes sold to somebody else. And so as a condition of us vacating and dedicating that to them, they have to include it as part of their lot. That's why this plat is before us, is because we have agreed to vacate half of this right-of-way to him, and this plat will join that small parcel into that lot, so then they can move forward with development with the entire piece. We've got the same thing with the Wagner piece, that development's getting close as well, as we understand it, and so that would be joined with that plat as far as part of that development. So that's the item today, is this, the Grove subdivision plat B, just a one-lot plat to join those two parcels together and create a single lot.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions for Marty?
Nope.
If not, I would like to ask for a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion for approval of a one-lot final subdivision plat called the Grove Subdivision Plat B on property located approximately 756 South Pleasant Grove Boulevard in the Grove Zone Commercial Cell Subdistrict.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jensen. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Councilmember Williams. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move on to 10B, to consider for approval the request of Ken Stark to extend final plat approval for Somerset Court Plat A for 18 months to July 21, 2021, to complete construction of infrastructure on property located at approximately 400 west, 400 north.
Mayor, Council, I know I've fielded a few questions from you with regards to the piece of property that is actually directly behind Costume Craze. This project was approved in the spring of 2018. We held a pre-construction meeting in June of 2018, I think around June 6th. Per our ordinance, it's required that development complete those improvements that are approved within 1 year of the pre-construction meeting. For really the street improvements, the utility improvements, not necessarily all of the building improvements, but they are required to get everything completed as was approved within that 1 year time period. If you do the math, we're already at 18 months. There were some hiccups in the way of getting this project completed. They got a portion of it done last year in 2018, and then they were able to work some issues out, and now are coming back and starting the project, and they've been working on it for the past few weeks. We wanted to make sure, just to kind of keep with the approvals of this, if they don't get it done within that year, it does indicate that they need to come before the council and ask for an extension of time to be able to get the project done. In our discussions with them on that timing, they've indicated that for build out, they're really going to look at getting all of the roads completed, utilities completed. This is a secondary emergency access that comes out here to 200 North. All of that will be completed in short time here, but then they're going to be phasing the building of the development in 3 phases, which would be the green ones first, the blue ones second, and then the phase 3 would come in the summer of 2021. So they're still looking at 18 months to completion, but that's to the completion of their entire development, including all of their buildings and the homes that are planned in there. And so we wanted to bring that before you as a need for an approval of an extension of their time period. We've indicated until July of 2021 on that extension to let them get through with everything, all their landscaping and everything by that time. The applicant's here. If you have any questions that you would like to ask them, I believe they're here. So if you have any questions for the applicant here, you're welcome to, you can come forward as well.
Any other questions? No. Okay. If not, I'd ask for a motion.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the request of Ken Stewart to extend final plat approval for Somerset Court Plat A for 18 months to July 21, 2021, to complete the construction of the infrastructure for property located approximately 400 west and 400 north.
I have a motion by Councilmember Emerson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Walker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move to 10C. Consider for adoption resolution 2019-058, authorizing the mayor to declare .40 acres of real property as surplus property located approximately 700 south, 225 West, authorizing the mayor to execute a sales agreement with Ace Intermountain Recycling Center LLC for the said property and providing for an effective date.
Mayor, Council, you've been aware of ACE coming to our community. They've purchased the property, I believe it was 22 acres that surrounds our current public works facility, and they're in the process of getting that property ready to open their doors. One of the things that was noticed as they were doing their boundary surveys and really trying to finalize where their property boundaries are, where the fences need to be placed, and trees that were required with their conditional use permit. One of the discussions was about this small piece of property that Pleasant Grove City currently owns along the south boundary. It's about 32 to 33 feet wide, 400 or so feet long, 0.40 acres of ground. Likely, we don't know exactly how it was created, other than we probably sold off property and it was a remainder parcel, not included any title descriptions or something that transferred title to somebody else. And with that, knowing that they needed to get some trees along there, we discussed with them about an option. They came to us and said, hey, would you be willing to sell this piece of property down here? And we don't know of a known use for it. It's 32 feet wide, 400 feet long, totally landlocked by the railroad on one side. They own the property immediately around it, and then you got the Tams business and stuff in Linden to the south across. That is the border of Pleasant Grove. As they indicated that, we negotiated with them, and we felt like we came up, because of the property, it's not prime real estate that would be available to anybody else. We don't have access to it. We couldn't really put anything on that. And so we went through a process of negotiating back and forth with ACE, and felt like we came up with a reasonable price for the property. With that, just kind of give you the numbers so you know what you're approving tonight with the sales agreement. We came to a value of $3 per square foot for the 0.40 acres, about 17,316 square feet. That would come out to $51,948. We have a section of storm drain that runs along this boundary. Some of it's in Linden, and then it kind of crosses the boundary here at the west side, and then comes into the ACE property along the rest of the boundary here. A portion of that was open ditch and has been a constant nuisance for us trying to maintain and keep it open. It's the only section there that's not piped. And so we negotiated with them in this sales agreement that they would pipe that section of that ditch, and that we would actually take and reduce the cost of the property by, it's approximately $18,500. We will get the actual invoice and reduce from the total amount, the amount that's billed by the contractor for that work, leaving the rest due at closing to be around $33,450. And so that's the idea of what we're here tonight, surplusing the property and authorizing the mayor to sign the sales purchase agreement with ACE for that piece of property. Know that with that, we also have been in discussions with them about reserving some easements for access to that storm drain and sewer line that run along their south boundary, as well as the easements for that line, which is also in this sales agreement. So we are getting some easements in lieu of this as well that we need to be able to manage and maintain those facilities. So any questions?
Would you go back to the map for me really quick? Just a really quick question. Do they have any requirements of landscaping along the border?
I believe their conditional use permit required them to put trees,
Okay.
I believe at 30-foot spacings all the way along their south border. This actually allows them to do that right on this property.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons they're very interested in the property, because it gives them a little more space there.
Right. So Metro is out.
And an 8-foot tall privacy fence was
Okay.
required all the way along the boundary
Okay, good to know.
around it.
Metro's gone?
Metro is not, I believe they still have an option, but they've moved out as far as we know. They've
Okay.
removed their water meter, so I assume they can't make concrete without water, but
And is there any cleanup that needs to happen on that property that we need to be mindful of?
so as I understand it, when Metro finally decides to move, they have in their contract, they have to remove a number of the things around the site. They're doing a number of cleanup things with regards to their drainage basin and all of their stormwater, putting in proper detention facilities and things as part of their agreement for their site plan.
Okay.
But I don't know of any other specific larger environmental cleanup that's necessary on the property.
Okay, good to know.
Any other questions for Marty? If not, I'd ask for a resolution on number 2019-058.
Number C? Do you want to do that one?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay.
I'd like to make the motion to adopt Resolution 2019-058, authorizing the mayor to declare .40 acres of real property as surplus property located at approximately 700 South, 225 West, and authorizing the mayor to execute the sales agreement with Ace Intermountain Recycling Center, LLC, for said property and providing for an effective date.
I have a motion by Councilmember Walker. Do I have a second? Second by Councilmember Jensen. This will be a roll call vote. Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen.
Yes.
Councilmember Walker.
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. We'll now move on to our 10D. Consider for adoption resolution 2019-059, authorizing the mayor to declare a 2018 Caterpillar 938M loader as surplus and directs that they be disposed of according to the city's policy of disposing of surplus property and providing for an effective date.
Mayor, council, each year for the past number of years, we've had this opportunity to take equipment. We buy a loader. We bought a loader a number of years ago, and then after we use it for a year, we sell it back to the people that we bought it from and generally have a profit. This year, we would like to do the same thing. We would like to surplus our 2018 loader. We have an offer to buy that back right now for $167,580. The sell price of a new loader, 2019 loader, is $164,000 and $164,319.
How much do we pay for it?
So again, originally it was right around the same numbers. We've been doing this for years. I think last year we made about $15,000 on this transaction.
We made money last year.
Can we buy about 400 more?
Yeah. We probably wouldn't be able to do that.
We would get busted.
That might be.
Like your negotiating skills, though, Marty. Nice work.
It's not me. It's something that John Goodman takes care of and does a great job. And we're able to turn these around, and it's a great opportunity for us to get. We have new equipment. We use it, no problems all year. We sell it for more than we bought it for, and buy a new one, and it's usually a bonus for us. So
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So that's what this is about: is to surplus the 2018 loader. And then we will turn around with our funds and purchase a new loader. But that's not part of what we're talking about. But just so you know.
Don't you wish you could buy a car like that?
Yep.
Yep.
I'm gonna bring Marty with me next time. Or John, I guess.
So, with that, any other questions for Marty? If not, I'd like a motion on resolution 2019-059.
I'll make a motion on that, Mayor. I'd like to make the motion to adopt Resolution 2019-059, authorizing the mayor to declare a 2018 Caterpillar 938M loader as surplus and directs that they be disposed of according to the city's policy for disposing of surplus property and providing for an effective date.
We have a motion by Councilmember Walker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Williams. This will be a roll call vote. We'll start out with Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Councilmember Walker.
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. We'll now move on to our 10E to consider for adoption resolution 2019-060, authorizing the mayor to execute a reimbursement agreement with the Welcome Home Assisted Living Center, Bruce Morrison, owner, for construction of a portion of the roadway and accompanying street improvements on 930 North, 1870 West, Pleasant Grove, Utah County, Utah, providing for an effective date. Director.
Great. This item is before us. We've had a request from a developer for a reimbursement agreement for some improvements that he installed as required by his development against a property that is currently undeveloped. This is the property called Welcome Home. When they came in, they put in these full street improvements. I don't know if you remember this one, was a little with the dead-end streets and things that we had a controversy over a couple years ago. They did get everything installed, as you can see here in the image on Google. What they are asking is for them to be able to enter a reimbursement agreement so that approximately half of the asphalt down the middle of this road, it would be half of this waterway, and the curb and gutter that was installed along the north side of the road would be, we will get a document that we sign at the county against those properties for a reimbursement that they will have to pay back to the developer these funds for those improvements that were installed, as it's kind of a shared thing. There's a number of things. They obviously paid a lot more than is being requested here. They had to put in the water line and other facilities, but generally these reimbursement agreements, we feel comfortable that it's fair that the adjacent property owners that will have a benefit and access to that right-of-way also pay a portion of those improvements. And so they believe they asked for $40,000. As we looked at it in engineering, we felt it's more in the $30,000 range. I can't remember the exact number, 29,000 something, that is in this reimbursement agreement that's in your packet. And that's what we agreed was fair for them to be able to apply to these two parcels. There's actually a parcel here that fronts it and another parcel here currently owned by the same property owner. But when they come in to develop, then they would have to reimburse for that $29,000 amount, so.
Any questions for Marty? If not, I would like to request a motion on resolution number 2019-060.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2019-060, authorizing you, the mayor, to execute a reimbursement agreement with Welcome Home Assisted Living Center, Bruce Morrison being the owner, for construction of a portion of roadway and accompanying street improvements on 930 North, 1870 West in Pleasant Grove.
We have a motion by Councilmember Anderson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Walker. This will be a roll call vote, and we'll start with Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen.
Yes.
Councilmember Walker.
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Passes. Thank you. You know, we're hearing a lot from the left side of me here this evening, and I think it's great. So anyway, so it's okay. You guys can stay
Someone's
quiet.
got-
over there.
someone-
History
we're
book
good.
is-
We're
that's
good.
okay.
Someone must be getting here.
NF, to consider for authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement with the Central Utah Water Conservancy District allowing the Pleasant Grove City to install water filtering stations in certain Alpine Aqueduct Reach 3 turnout vaults and establishing the terms and conditions of said installation. Director.
This item's before us because of the bond that we just talked about and the filters that need to go inside the Central Utah Water Conservancy vaults. Essentially, as I understand it in my negotiations with them, sitting down with them, and this is not the first one they've done, they do this with other cities as well. There's other cities that have filters on their systems. Because the facility is their facility, they don't allow us to put our infrastructure in their facility. So what this agreement does is it gives them after we've installed that, we have to pay for the installation. We have to have a contractor. They coordinate that with us on the design and installation. And then at the end of that, they also take the ownership of that filter and the responsibility for maintenance and upkeep of that filter. It's actually a huge bonus to us to know that we don't have to jump in their vaults, get coordination to be able to get in there and fix a screen if a filter's gone down or plugged or something else, and they actually take care of that. The hindsight of that is that we do have to pay them for any maintenance and operation costs that they expend. We've talked with them, and on the design of the filters that are going in, the Amiad filters, are the ones that they recommend at the size they recommend it. They've had great success with other communities with these filters. We've got the supplier of the filter saying, no, do this, this, and this, and we're just like, we're gonna do what works, we're gonna do what they're experienced with, because we don't want to chance that there's a lot of other issues. And so this agreement essentially gives them the facilities or the infrastructure, and they will maintain it. We will pay them to do that for their time that they spend in those facilities, if they have to change the screens or brushes or otherwise.
So a question I have, Marty, is those vaults already exist, is that correct?
They all exist today.
Okay, and all this equipment these filters go in those then?
Yeah, so they're fairly large vaults. It's a little tight in one of them, but the rest of them we're able to cut the pipe, insert the T's, and these types of filters actually sit on top of the pipe, so they're fairly tall, and they'll be right inside their vaults.
Any other questions for Marty? If not, I'd ask for a motion.
Right, it's your turn, Diane.
Lynn, I think this is going to be always your turn, by the way.
I guess your turn.
I guess they're breaking me to lead this last time. I would like to make a motion. This is F, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make a motion to sign an agreement with the Central Utah Water, for the mayor to sign that agreement with the Central Utah Water Conservancy District, allowing Pleasant Grove City to install water filtering stations in certain Alpine Aqueduct Reach 3 turnout vaults, and establishing the terms and conditions of said installation.
We have a motion by Councilmember Walker. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Councilmember Williams. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now move to 10G, to consider authorizing the mayor to sign a letter of support to Mountain Lion Association of Governments, MAG, for transportation improvement projects, the TIP. And we'll turn time back to
Great.
Marty.
We are in another round of the Transportation Improvement Program, which is ran by MAG. Essentially, they have funding through gas taxes. There's county funds available to them that they use for funding regionally significant roads. You'll remember a couple years ago, we got funding, about $2.9 million was for the 2600 North Reconstruction Project. That project will be coming up in 2 years. So it's really a 4-year out window that we're looking at before funding's actually available for these projects. But they do this every 2 years. So we got the 2600 North Phase 1, which was from Canyon Road to 900 West, and we got the 1800 North Signal at First East funded through that. And so we've got those two projects that are coming up. For this next cycle, as we looked at what projects might be considered here, they've indicated, and I think Bob Allen was here a few weeks ago and indicated that there's $86 million available this round. Last round there was about 60, a little over 60 million, so there's more funding available. We wanted to make sure that we at least got some projects that we're looking at and think are important for our city on that, on the radar anyways. This year we've identified 4, and we have to submit what are called idea report forms by tomorrow with a concept of what we're doing, and need to have a letter from the mayor essentially indicating, and the council indicating their support for the projects. So here's the projects really quickly. Right now UDOT is doing a signal study, a warrant study for this intersection here, which is Proctor Lane and North County Boulevard. NOAA with Linden City came and said, hey, we're interested in trying to get this signal fully developed. They've already got the road dedicated through this section. What about trying to get that road connected up through? Right now, you can only turn right if you come down 13th West. Makes a lot of sense. We honestly have not approached close to my heart and negotiated anything at this point. It's very concept level. We're just trying to get an idea of whether this would be supported by the MAG TAC committee and get some support on that end. So this is what our proposal is.
Where was our basin that didn't we buy some land right in
We
here?
just purchased all 5 acres right here. And it actually abuts to that new road that would come up. Our end of our property is right on the right of way. It's 30 feet, and then it opens up into 5 acres right there.
So the road would be on Close to My Heart's property?
Completely on Close to My Heart's property, yep.
And isolate that one section of the.
We will be having some discussions with them, just look at their interest. There's some, obviously, if we can get this constructed with funding from the MAG, then they have a lot less costs when they actually go to develop their property. So there's some interest in getting these roads constructed like this. Plus, with all of the traffic and congestion that we have there with doTERRA and all of the other traffic coming south, it would be great to be at a signal. UDOT's already looking at the signal. I'm sure that will be warranted, and then it'll be much better, so.
A 2-lane?
So right now, we would be doing what's called a pioneering road. We wouldn't actually build out to full build out, but we would get a nice road that's gonna carry the traffic to that signalized intersection. So, well, about 32 feet of asphalt is what we're projecting right now, which gives us good travel lanes, good shoulders, and
Who owns that property on that, I guess it's that northwest corner?
where are we talking here?
Right here.
Daniel St.
Oh,
John
St. John's.
Properties.
I wonder if they would be interested in acquiring from Close to My Heart, that other side.
They may, if Close to My Heart's interested. That property be left over is still over an acre, so it's not creating a undevelopable property, even with subdividing that thing. It leaves a nice actual corner lot too. So it's very, very marketable piece of property once this goes in as well. So
Really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it
You
does
know,
a lot of
it's kind of a pain right now. And especially with the hotel, or a business building going in here, I would love to see that happen.
Yeah, there's no way out of that, of that
It's
building.
kind of a mess. So that would really,
a huge value on this one. We hope that they'll look at it, that we hesitated to propose a full wide road. We tend to get a little bit more value if we can try to keep it to what's needed rather than what the future outlook is, because they kind of look at this and say, rather than $3 million, maybe it's $2 million. And so they're going to say, well, we're doing all what we need to do right now. And then the improvements for the widening would happen with the development of the property at that time. So we'll get what we need for now.
And the only caution I would have there is that I know that we have had some discussion way, way down the line of maybe an off-ramp at the,
13 Air West.
That plays into that, having that road there.
It does.
yes.
Yeah.
But
Which
but
is
my
but that's a
concern
state.
is that we are thinking too small for just a
Well,
2-lane.
other than let's let the state worry about that
That's a
one.
state issue.
Well,
right there.
but,
That would be a state project.
but not until it hits that light, right?
Right. A good majority of that traffic is trying to get to North County Boulevard, right? And then
Okay.
they're going north, or they're going south, or some will continue also to the north on Proctor Lane, right?
Yeah.
So it'll split the traffic there. Absolutely. Again, the projects we've been talking about on North County Boulevard, kind of diverging from the topic at hand, but they are planning to try to get that section at North County Boulevard improved here shortly, to try to help increase the traffic flow through that area. So
That's
Hey.
a great overlay.
It is.
If that's what we want.
yeah, I think that's the direction
Yeah.
as far as we know what they're moving. Now, it didn't get funded
Right.
in the next 4 years, but I think you're talking in the next 5 to 10 years, something of this nature is more reality.
By the way,
It's-
that turnoff on the turn lane coming off
A
of
dedicated right hand onto
Yes.
North County Boulevard, that helps a lot.
I actually did a little dance of joy when
Well, this is,
Traffic
in a
started
lot of
going.
ways, this is what they're doing at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And so we're just
Separating
getting ahead
that,
of the game.
separating the traffic volumes.
Great, nice work. Pull that back a little bit.
Put that on.
Okay, yeah, great. Yeah.
Well,
So-
it just shown, can that project go all the way up to our 700 South there?
So the reason why we're stopping it there, Mayor, is because we just approved ASEA, and they're constructing 700 South down to that point.
Oh,
So we're just trying to get that road, then it'll be nice, new road, tied into a signalized intersection in the next few years is what our goal is. So, but ASEA is already doing the north portion of that, to 700 South. Yeah, that whole
when do the
portion right there will all be
conversations
done
start
this next summer.
close to my heart.
soon
The,
as-
the conversations have not started with close to my.
No, other than when we purchased the detention basin,
Basin.
they're aware that a road's planned to go through there.
Okay.
We made them aware of that as we were going through those negotiations, so it's been on the master plan for a lot of years as well, that that's where the road needs to go to tie into that location.
So other projects.
Other projects.
I see another
Second
little green line
project
there.
is we have this road on 1000 South. It's in our plan because it creates a connection from the east bench that comes down 700 North or North County Boulevard and gets people to the interchange. It's one of our regionally significant roads, and we're missing that one piece there to get that connection. Right now, people come and they come down 900 South and then they dogleg back to get onto here. And it just creates, it's kind of a roundabout way to get there. It creates a lot of traffic on a residential road. And so the idea of this project would be to come in. You can see that all of the homes in Linden front this other street, so it's their backyards. This road is largely dedicated up to this road here. As right-of-way, we just have a few little pieces through this section that have not been dedicated yet that would be negotiated in this process. The concept is to go and apply for that road to be constructed. There was a neighborhood meeting that we held last week and a half ago. Had all but one of the neighbors that live along that road at that meeting, and a number of residents from Linden. All of the residents in Pleasant Grove saw the value of the road and were in support of moving forward with the application for the construction of the road. Obviously, there's a huge value for them. Again, if we can get the road constructed, that's less that they have to construct when they want to develop. And it's needed for them to be able to develop. So, but that's the second project. The third project would be phase 2, and not in any order. We're not prioritizing these. We're just talking about the 4 projects. The third one is 2600 North. Again, we got it funded all the way to 9th West from Canyon Road. Now we're talking about getting it the rest of the way through Pleasant Grove to our boundary, essentially from 900 West. So this is phase 2. We're hopeful that we got phase 1 funded last time. Hopefully phase 2 is on the doorstep for the next funding round. And that completes our 2600 North right-of-way needs there.
That's curb and gutter?
That one is curb and gutter and full pavement width on that one.
Yeah, it is.
It's tough.
It was a county road, wasn't it?
Probably at some
2600?
point. I don't
It
know
was
how
a
long
county
ago,
road.
though. It's been a while. Then the last one that we've talked about is applying for some funding here on 4000 North. Currently, they just funded the project that takes, this is just south of Lone Peak High off of North County Boulevard, a road that comes through the state hospital property along the north side of Fox Hollow and ties in here at the Alpine Highway.
That did get funded?
Yes.
Funded and is out to bid,
Approved.
as I understand. They will be moving forward on the
all the way.
construction of that.
Great
next summer.
east-west. Great east-west.
So the completion of that for us ends up on some very narrow roads. And we just barely, with the Canyon Road project, redid some improvements here. We lowered the road, well, the county did, say we, in coordination with them, trying to get sight distances issued so that this would become a more desirable intersection and not have safety concerns. They've built that up, and one of the concepts is to try to get those improvements in so that when that other road goes in, this does create an east to west all the way from Canyon Road all the way to Alpine Highway connection, and just gives more options for traffic. So those are 4 projects that we're looking at funding. Again, right now, we're just looking for a support letter from the council and mayor. The next step would be, if it's found to be favorable and ranks fairly high by the TAC committee, would be back discussing about preparing a concept report, which would be due, I believe, the first part of March. If we get awarded funding, funding would probably be finalized sometime in August of next year as far as projects that were selected and what funding's been allocated. So that's the timing, that's the project, so that you're up to date of what we're submitting for, or what we'd like to submit for.
Great stuff.
Okay. If no other questions for Marty, I'd ask for a motion, so I can sign a letter.
Okay, I'll make it.
He's on a roll tonight.
I'd like to consider authorizing the mayor to sign a letter of support to Mountain Land Association of Governments, MAG, for transportation improvement projects on the tip. And we would like to authorize that.
We have a motion-
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Walker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Jensen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. So that's, we'll now move to item number 8, to consider for adoption Resolution 2019-061, authorizing the mayor to sign an interlocal cooperative agreement with the Utah County Department of Drug and Alcohol Prevention and Treatment for substance misuse prevention services and communities that care prevention model, and providing for an effective date.
If you want, I'd have Marty come back and do this. I mean, he's been on a roll tonight. And Lynn's made more motions than I think the first 4 years, I mean, combined.
I'd say so.
There's 2 more for you.
Yeah, right. Let's keep it rolling.
We'll get them all.
We've talked about this quite a bit, and what this is the final agreement between us and Utah County for the Communities That Care program. We've been approached by the county to see if we are interested in developing this in our community to a point where they will fund the first year of this program. And what that entails is us hiring a part-time person in order to run this program. This part-time person will work for a board. They'll have, they'll be a city employee, and so we will be the ones kind of keeping track and doing performance evaluations and those types of things. But they will be answering to a board as far as the things that they need to be working on and the direction that they will be given. As a city, we will be involved in this board. We'll have membership on this board, so we'll have an idea, a pretty good idea of what's happening for this employee. So the county has offered to fund the first year of this at $20,000, with $4,000 for, can't remember the terminology they use, capacity building. So that would be maybe a computer or certain things that they might need, trainings that they might need to go to, they would help fund that. So it'd be $24,000 for the first year. After the first year, then they would commit $13,000 per year, with a minimum of $3,000 of capacity building, so another $16,000. We would commit to $10,000 per the agreement, but if there were some costs that needed to be above and beyond the $16,000 that they were providing and above the $10,000, then that would be the responsibility of the city. The way we foresee it right now is that that should take care of us for the next few years. That could eventually change as over time, but we feel that that covers our needs. So are there any questions?
No questions? If not, I would ask for a motion on Resolution 2019-061.
I'll take care of that. Motion to adopt a resolution 2019-06, authorizing the mayor to sign an interlocal cooperative agreement with Utah County Department of Drug and Alcohol Prevention and Treatment for substance misuse prevention services and communities, that care prevention model, and providing for an effective date.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Walker. We have a second by Councilmember Williams. This will be a roll call. We'll start with Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Councilmember Walker.
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
And motion passes. Thank you. Now move on to our last action item this evening. Action item I, consider for adoption ordinance 2019-26, setting the time and place for regular meetings of the City Council, boards, commission, committee meetings of Pleasant Grove City for the year 2020, providing for effective date. General Counsel.
Mayor and Council, we are obligated by the state statute in the interest of transparency to let the public know when our boards and commissions will be meeting in the upcoming year. The ordinance that's placed before you is simply your approval of those meetings. There are no large changes from what is the existing schedule for the Arts Commission, the Beautification Commission, our City Council, the Planning Commission, etc. I would just note that in planning the schedule for City Council, there will only be one meeting. We typically have 2 meetings a month on the first and third Tuesdays. We will only be having one meeting scheduled in April to provide for spring break, one meeting in June to provide for Strawberry Days, one meeting in November, and one meeting in December. We can always change that schedule with proper notice if it becomes necessary to hold another meeting during that month. Do you have any questions?
I think we've done that this year, right, as if needed, so it's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, probably for sure in June, we will be adding a meeting. We're just trying to figure out when. The third Tuesday is Strawberry Days. The fourth Tuesday is the primary elections. We will need to hold a meeting in there somewhere to adopt our final budget. We just don't know what that is right now, so we left it blank for now, and then we'll just add that meeting. Everything else has been pretty much in line with how we've done it in years past.
And doesn't that approval have to be before the 25th or something?
It's the third, they changed it.
They
It's the
changed it.
30th now.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
They gave us till the end of the month, which
Yeah,
is nice.
That's
I
nice.
think it used to be
Yeah.
like the 22nd or something
Yeah.
in June, and now they've given us to the end of the month.
Can we email that out to certain council members so they have that in their email and calendars?
When that meeting
The
is.
dates.
The meeting times.
Well, it's in your packet right now.
He's teasing.
I'm telling you,
It's just-
we don't have attendance problems with this city council. You guys are here. I mean, we're good.
Any other questions for
Thank you for
Tina?
noticing, Scott.
Yes.
Even during BYU games.
Thanks, Tina.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
If no other questions, I'd ask for a motion on ordinance number.
May I make that, please?
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt 2019-26, setting the time and place of regular meetings of the city council, boards, commissions, and committee meetings of Pleasant Grove City for the year 2020 and providing for an effective date. That's as read by the city attorney.
And we have a motion by Councilmember Walker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Anderson. We'll start with Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen,
Why, yes.
Councilmember Walker,
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
I think it's interesting that Lynn made that motion for meetings that he's not going to be at.
I was surprised he didn't say, well, we ought to,
And he was smiling when he was reading
I'm
it.
surprised he didn't add meetings.
yeah. Didn't say, I want to see double meetings. So, okay, we will now continue our items we didn't finish up in our work session. And I think we will go with our director's reports here. So Sherry,
Sitting over there with the cookies.
with all the cookies.
Yeah. So Mr. Claus was in here tonight, but Mrs. Claus has been at the library tonight. They had split duty tonight.
Oh.
So, yes, it was our annual Mrs. Claus story time.
She's wonderful.
She is wonderful. She's what? Yeah, she always gets a good crowd. And then the Messiah sing-along is Saturday with the PG Orchestra. And so this is your opportunity to sing Hallelujah Chorus, sing your lungs out. Nobody will notice if you're good or not.
When is that?
Saturday at 7 at the high school.
I got the bass part down on that one.
There you go. That's it.
You ready?
Yes.
I just want to thank the guys. They did an awesome job.
Yeah.
Getting ready for Christmas. Downtown added about 2 weeks extra time they put in. And the leaves still on the parks are showing, which we wanted to get up before the storms, but we'll work on that as it melts off. But and then the last thing was we were able to purchase the Anderson Wadley property yesterday. So we're one step closer to the trail.
Wow.
Or on Monday, sorry, not yesterday. Oh, it was yesterday.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Yeah. It's been a long week already.
So.
That's good.
Well, and Dion, thank you for your good work with your guys. If they didn't have a good leader, they wouldn't be doing it. So, anyway, but thank you.
It was magical.
It was. Great evening. Chief Thomas.
I don't have anything, but the park looks wonderful, and the lights on the buildings, how fun is that? Just great, thank you.
I wanted,
Chief.
to, I wanted to thank Dio too. He did a great job, and I feel bad because I get to sit in my window and look out and enjoy it, and he had to do all the work, so I feel kind of guilty. But I don't have a whole lot either. It's just our busy time of the season, and people are get cabin fever and have to see family they don't like and drink too much, and so we're busy. But on a side note, Mr. Pruitt with the Citizens Academy left an ornament that he makes for you, everybody in here, so I'll hand them out to you when you're done.
We would have took it. We wouldn't have let her have it. Yeah, yeah.
Dang it, now it's on public record.
She's probably watching too. Yeah, yeah.
She probably is. She's got her little earpiece in. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
So do you? Oh, okay, thank you for getting our screens up and working tonight. We appreciate that. So anyway.
Our unofficial IT guy, Kylan.
So have you figured out what the static is? Because tonight you just nailed it quick.
You just turned the microphones
I
off.
turned the microphone off, or the speakers off. It's with the speakers, so I'm gonna reach out to
Them.
Cade, who's our specialist here, but it's something with the speaker in this room, I think particularly. The other two rooms, it doesn't set it off, so.
And it's at 6 o'clock on Tuesday night. Every other Tuesday. That's right. It's the weirdest thing. Well, thanks, Kyler. Appreciate it.
Okay, Denise, do you have,
No.
Scott, you have anything?
I just want to add comment about last night. The one thing I noticed was that we had a line for hot chocolate, we had a line for Santa, but we also had a lot of other people that were just sitting around talking to each other in groups. And I thought that was kind of the epitome of community and the reason why we do those types of things. That's good. The other thing was the use of the pavilions and how it kind of helped with that as well, particularly the large pavilion where we had the high school choir. That's what we had envisioned when we designed that, and it worked beautifully. So the enhancements in our parks, which have been funded through the CARE tax and others that have donated money to help that happen, really helped pull that event off last night.
Very well attended. I don't know how many people we had, but
We had 600 donuts, and they were all eaten with the exception of 24.
Wow.
Now, we did have some people,
I should have stood in line.
None of my people had any, so there were a lot of people there that.
but there was a few that had two.
Well, that's
So we're estimating roughly 600 people that were there.
I think it was more than that.
That's great.
The biggest turnout, last year we had a decent sized turnout. Before that, I would say the most we had was like 30 or 40. So this was,
What
This was
was
awesome.
what was the difference?
the difference was we had Santa here outside in the
Not
park.
library.
At the library, people would they would head to the library and line up for Santa. They would not come for the tree lighting. So it is a little inconvenient, it's a little chilly, but that is kind of what gathered people. That is the anchor. And so we're talking about next year, trying to figure out ways to put some heaters or things along the line for Santa so that people can stay relatively warm. Now, my family, it took us 30 minutes to get through the Santa line, so it wasn't too bad. But that, from when we got in line to when a kid sat on Santa's lap was about 30 minutes. So he moved it. Santa did a great job. I don't know who Santa is, but
Santa's Santa.
yeah, well,
Hey, that's who Santa is.
I don't want to spoil anything, but that is awesome.
His
he
wife was over
uh,
there.
Okay, so Santa's wife.
Santa is Santa.
We are blessed here in Pleasant Grove. The one Santa Claus in the whole universe was there last night.
There you
so.
go.
His wife was a down deal.
Yeah, grandchildren watching watching this.
Sure, they're on the screen.
Ina, do you have anything else for us?
Just to report that tomorrow is the prosecutor's last day. So we have first review of applications deadline was today. We have 10 applicants, many with some prosecutorial experience. We'll be handling initial interviews next week sometime. We've sort of targeted Monday, Tuesday. Kyler and I haven't tied that down yet. In the meantime, I'm anticipating that I'll probably have to do both jobs for at least a month to 6 weeks before we can get somebody on board. So I'll be back in court 3 days a week in addition to doing what I normally do.
Are we
So
having
we'll
like a
be busy.
little get together for Mike?
You know, unfortunately, he's going to be in court
Oh,
all
that's- yeah.
morning. And I actually have several meetings tomorrow as well that are booked. And so I really am slacking in that regard. I don't know. I was just going to get him like a gift card or something.
Yes, and Mike's not a guy that's gonna want
He's,
something
yeah,
like
he's
that.
not a social butterfly.
Can I make a recommendation, though? I'll tell you offline.
Okay.
I have an
great.
idea.
Yep.
I think that's it. I
Is
don't
10,
rem-
is 10 applicants, is that more
That's
than you
good
had,
for this
more time
position.
than you had
Yeah,
left?
that's good for this position, and I'm particularly pleased that we've got at
Some with
least
experience.
half of those with prosecutorial experience.
Okay.
A lot of times, these entry-level prosecutor positions, you're getting people who are fairly recently out of law school and are either coming out of a law clerk bailiff type of situation where they've been in court but they haven't actually prosecuted, or somebody who's had an internship as a prosecutor but hasn't been doing it very long. So I've got 3 or 4 that actually have been doing it for at least a year and up to 6 years of experience. I think we'll be good. We'll find somebody good.
Okay, that's good.
I think that's all, Mayor.
Okay. Marty?
Just, I think we finished out the season strong with construction. Most of our projects
Yes.
just have a few little items going on, but most of the pay requests were mostly finalized
I saw that.
tonight that you guys approved, and so things are going well there. We've got a lot in the mix right now, so we're back in the design process with a number of projects. I would just like to say we are trying to finalize our next year's street plan. So I'm hoping to have that out by next Wednesday. And we'll send a copy of that to you, and it'll show you the projects that we're planning to do this next year and those budget amounts for that. So we're most of the way done with that and just want to get it finalized up this week, and we'll get it out to you by the middle of next week.
Okay.
So, and then if there's any questions on anything that you guys saw or have had, I'm happy to answer those.
No, I keep driving up and down 1100 just for the heck of it. It's really, really good.
That is a fun street now.
So, yeah, we'll look forward to the rest of it getting
I
finished in the future. So anyway, with that, Scott, do you have anything that we need to be aware of on our, for our next meeting on January the 7th?
No, we do have a couple work session items. We've asked Chief Roberts to kind of give a 6-month status report. How long have you been chief, Mike? Is it a year? So give us a little bit of a status report on some of the things that he talked about when he was being interviewed, and come back to the council and kind of explain some of the progress that's been made since he's been in there. So
Oh, wonderful.
that's one of the items. And then also the public safety building, I was hoping to have it on the agenda for today, but that's going to get pushed back to January. But we just need to review those numbers and go over the final numbers with that with you. So there's a couple items we know. There's 5 weeks in between meetings, so I'm sure we'll have a pretty nice full agenda by the time we get there.
If there, and I don't know, I mean, I think if something happened and there needed to be something moved along very, very quickly, like a developer or something that needed something,
We're not anticipating any of that, but of course, if something comes up and we need to meet before then, we'll let you know.
Yeah, happy to.
Yeah, we'll let you know.
Happy to do that.
so,
Okay, just, Todd, on the 7th, you will be here? Then I will not be here.
Okay.
So if you get with Scott
Sounds
before.
great.
and
Yep, I'll do that.
Well,
let me do
sorry,
payment.
can I talk logistics for the 7th? I can't
Yeah.
remember if we've discussed this or not, but what we're going to do at 4:30 when we do our work session, our first order of business will be giving Lynn a plaque and telling him thank you for his service. And then we'll swear in Brent Bullock right away so that he can be part of the work session as a standing council member. So that will be our first orders of business on the 7th. We'll make that transition.
That'd be great. Yeah, I can take care of it.
Okay. And we'll plan on that. So let's start down here with the guy that's got a fresh haircut down here. Looks
Notice that.
good.
Was that a fresh fade?
They miss you.
I know.
I put some peer pressure on you and said he should be in here, but yeah, okay. I have 4 items.
Okay.
But, and I'll probably get a little emotional, is to our friend down here, Lynn. And I know we'll have a chance on the 7th to say thank you, but Lynn, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's been a pleasure serving with you for 4 years. It's amazing how time flies. it's truly a pleasure, really. I've learned a lot from you. I always take something home from you, especially on the patience side of things. So, again, I just wanted to say thank you for all your service to this community. Sorry, I knew I'd be getting emotional, but again, thank you for everything. Dion, awesome job. Awesome. I stand out there every day and watch your guys. It's cold. It's cold out there, and they're up there in the trees freezing, getting those lights done. So thank you, and thank you to your crew. Amazing job. It was great to see our employees get introduced today. I wish we could, we're working on it to get it more.
Yeah, the request was is to do it quarterly.
Okay.
So we'll just make
That's
it a
awesome.
quarterly thing.
Again, Scott touched on it, the park vision, the choir. I think the youth court helped out. It was just amazing to see the community to come out. That's really what we're about, right? Is the community, bringing them together, giving them the opportunity to have those kind of events. Mrs. Claus at the library. There's just tons of things that go on in our community that we should be proud of and recognize. So that's what I have. Thank you. So.
Okay.
No, I absolutely echo, Councilman Jensen. It's been a pleasure to get to know the Walkers. I'm not sure if there's been anybody who have served longer in a Pleasant Grove council setting. When did you start attending council meetings?
16.
Probably 15 years ago.
It's a long time. It's a long time. And just echo.
A lot of meetings.
That's a lot of meetings. I better get out.
That was
I better.
before he married Linda.
I don't remember that part.
But Lynn, thank you. Thank you for all your efforts and hope all goes well. And I know you and Linda have a lot of things to catch up on. And I'm hoping that includes a movie night on Tuesday nights instead. And that's all I had. Thanks, Mayor.
We got Tuesday night open now.
You're right. Yeah, you got.
You always come down here and sit down in the back.
Oh, I will.
Yeah.
I'll visit.
That'd be on top of my list, I know that.
Tuesday night at the movies, that's Taco Tuesday and then free movies, or cheap movies.
Tuesday and
Cheap movies.
Cheap movies.
All right, thank you.
Diana.
I second everything. Beautiful night last night. I love our Charlie Brown Christmas tree, and I hope it doesn't grow. I hope it just continues. I know that there are residents that just want to knock that down and put in a tree that's growing, but.
Start fertilizing that every month, 16,
So wait,
16,
how old
8.
is that tree? 3 years old? Original. It did? Uh-oh.
They're keeping an eye on it.
Fertilizing it.
Yay.
I love it when the residents are looking all around for the big Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. And we turn on this little 12-footer. Anyway, it was just fun. It was a perfect night. I mean, we've had blizzard conditions, and we've had these, moon out, choir singing. It was beautiful. I know a lot of work went into that, and I'm very appreciative of it. I'm gonna talk about Lynn too. So there were just a couple of things that I know Lynn wanted to do. And one of them was to get some road funding, have his boys taken care of, long-term, and I know that's citywide. I know he has respected every employee. And he's taught me a lot. Sat in his office a lot when he was Public Works Director, learning about what the needs were. And he's not very vocal sometimes in meetings, but he's very vocal out of meetings. So there's been a lot of instruction, and I've been very appreciative, and hopefully I've been a good student. Your turn.
Well, thank you all. It's really appreciated. As I think time for change is here. And I definitely, for one, am going to miss all of this. I'm going to miss it a lot. Work to me is very, very important. I would hope if I can share this with you, this is the beginning of a new day. You've been given this day, each of you, to do with as you will. You can do good with it, or you can mistreat it and waste it. What you do with this day is important because each of you are going to trade this day for a day of your life. I would hope that in its place, when you're done, you realize that you've lost that day. I hope you're able to replace it with something good. And I wish I could tell you what the secret of doing that is, because I've never learned it yet. But thank you. You've been great examples. Been fun to learn from you, and you know I'll be back there, and I'll be down to talk with you guys when I get a chance. I'll try not to bother you too much, but appreciate all you've done. May each of you seek and find the good things in life, and you've been that kind of an example. Please keep it up. Thanks to all of you.
Thanks, Lynn. You know, I appreciate you over the years. In fact, I can remember when you were trying to get Dion to go work on the I-15 core project up Salt Lake there, and that would have been a big mistake anyway. But seeing so you get a minus for that one, Lynn. Okay. So anyway, but no, it was good working with you as Public Works Director, and for the years that with you, and you know, and I'll have to tell you, I was in Christchurch in the South Island in New Zealand, and I got an email from. I think it was your daughter or your campaign thing says, "Hey, would you support Lynn for city council?" And I says, "Man," I went back, and so I still remember where I was at. And I says, "Yeah, well, check's in the mail. What do you need?" So anyway, so I thought he would be a great person to have, and what it ended up being a little bit of a battle there towards the end there. So, but I'm glad you won out. So it's been great to work with you this last year, and wish you well. So we know you won't go away. You'll still be around, and whatever.
Heck, I may get back in politics.
So-
Can't tell.
Well, if you want to, maybe you can be the mayor.
No.
We'll talk to Linda.
That'd make a little change.
We'll let you know how that goes.
She wants movie night now.
Well, I got one other thing here for this evening. A couple of weeks ago, in my mail was a letter from the city of Irvine. I said, oh, they're having some seminar down there. Maybe we can go. But it was from the Anthony Coe, who was mayor pro tem in the city of Irvine, and I'd like to. And this is addressed to the mayor and the city council. And it says, "Dear Mayor Fugel and members of the City Council, I recently spent a week in Pleasant Grove visiting friends and celebrating Halloween. Though your weather was a little colder than Irvine, California is accustomed to, the warmth and the friendliness of your residents made up the difference. I appreciated the lengths many of your residents took in decorating their homes for trick-or-treaters. It shows a genuine pride of people have in their community. Among many sites I visited, your impressive Pleasant Grove Recreation Center and your preschool Halloween program, and among a number of restaurants and retailers. I helped So Delicious generate an embarrassing amount of sales tax for you. Thank you and your residents for your graciousness and offer you your beautiful community every good wish. If you ever find yourself in Irvine area, I hope we can reciprocate the hospitality.
You never know who's watching, who's here.
So anyway, I emailed them. I emailed them back and say, hey, and they meet on the 2nd and 4th. And I says, maybe I'll show up at one of your, when I'm down there on a Tuesday, I'll show up at one of your council meetings. And I says, whatever you did at Sodalicious, I says, hey, I've spent a lot of time in Irvine Spectrum when I'm down there.
Yes.
And I says, I think I keep the lights on in City Hall for you with my sales tax. And that, the Irvine Center is quite a
It's amazing.
thing there. They probably generate in 1 week
Yeah.
more sales tax than we do all year long.
It's a cool setup.
It's a
Yeah.
cool setup. It's really, but anyway, I thought that was impressive. So anyway, we have people visit our community, are impressed with it, so I'll have to find out who his family is here
Yeah.
and is
That would be
continue on. So anyway, so with that, has anybody else got anything for this evening? If not, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Lynn, you want to give us that?
So moved.
So we have a motion by Councilmember,
Second.
by Councilmember Jen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.